Good day and welcome to today's episode of Nigerian Ombudsman. I thank you for stopping by to watch this particular video as well as the other content I have on my channel. As usual, this particular episode is geared towards having a better election in 2023. You remember that on the 14th of September, this particular month, the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, their spokesperson, Ikenga Ugochinyere, led a press conference. And during that press conference, Ugochinyere had a multi-page document. And on that document, it was a preliminary voters register. And in that register, the extra that he had with him, he was able to show that there was a big problem ahead, in the sense that some fraudulent members of the INEC, workers of the INEC, have collaborated with some politicians to insert names of people who should not in the first place have been there. And in some cases, he showed on the document that there were people who were indicated to have been born in 1900 or in some cases 1914, and there were cases where pictures of men were being placed where there were female names, and vice versa. Of course, we do know that sometimes mistakes can be made in data entry, but when it becomes so proliferated or so many, then there's room for doubt. And Ugochinyere used Omuma as a case study. Omuma, is the hometown where the present Imo State governor comes from. And we do know that he did say that in that particular ward where the governor comes from, Hope Uzodinma, where he comes from, that the last elections, the figures of registered voters in that particular ward was less than 10,000, much less than that. But now the figures have risen much into the tens of thousands. And he was questioning the reason how did a ward as small as that in the location where it is, how come the figures have risen that much? And also he did say that based on the insecurity in Imo State right now, many people have relocated from that particular area. So how come the figures got to that number? And how come names of people born in 1900, 1914 were in that particular register? And so what I expected was that the Imo State governor would respond in a civilized way. That was what I was expecting. But of course, I was not surprised with their response, because their response is in line with the typical politician's response, the typical Nigerian politician's response, and that is that of intimidation. So rather than objectively come out to counter the claims made by CUPP and Ikenga, the Imo State Commissioner of Information and Strategy, Declan Emelumba, called for the arrest of Ikenga Ugochinyere, saying that his allegations were spurious. But the INEC, however, in their own response, according to Ikenga, in a follow-up interview, he did say that the INEC have now moved to begin to clean up the voters register. And to my mind, I would say that we as Nigerians should be grateful for this investigative work that Ikenga and the group, or that CUPP have done, in the sense that we know that the Nigerian politician, the average typical Nigerian politician, will do anything possible to ensure that they manipulate election figures to their advantage. And so, because of the fact that things are now shifting to electronic voting, which today the APC is fighting seriously to sabotage. They are not trying as much as possible to also, in a way, bring problem to this particular development, because we know that we have before used the physical paper register, and that have been very much manipulated. But now with the introduction of this electronic system, the Beavers voters machine, they are also now trying to sabotage this electronic register and manipulate things in using some corrupt INEC officials. But I'm happy with INEC's response, because Mahmoud Yakubu, who is the head of INEC, have already said that they have started to clean up the register. And we will wait until the final version of the register comes up. But I want to say that we Nigerians, we owe Ugochinyere and CUPP a debt of gratitude, because they have now they have brought it to the fore that there's already a plan to sabotage the forthcoming elections by bringing in names of people that should not be in there in the first place. From Ugochinyere's document that was presented during the press conference, we saw cases of people who were whose pictures were taken from frames and placed in that register. I was part of the voters registration exercise, and when I took my own picture, when my data was being captured, it was taken against the background of an INEC logo. So that way the data was captured on site. But in this case, we see pictures of people being picked being captured from outside and now being placed in the voters register, which should not be in the first case. So I really appreciate Ugochinyere and CUPP's action that they have taken. They have opened the eyes of Nigeria, because the forthcoming election, like we all know, is a critical election in the history of Nigeria. Nigeria right now is almost dead economically, because APC and PDP over the years have destroyed everything that calls for sanity economically. And that takes me to the next subject. Today, I read with consternation that some Nigerian ladies are now going to buy second-hand underwears from the market. My heart just basically broke reading this story. This is how much our nation have been destroyed. This is how much humiliation the political class of Nigeria, their greed, their wickedness, have subjected our people to. To the extent, I know that all around the world, people buy second-hand clothes, apart from the issue of trying to save the environment, but also trying to save cost or save money. But however, having to go and buy second-hand underwears is something I really cannot understand. The serious health implications, because especially for the ladies, how can a lady, whether a lady or a male in the first case, how can someone go and buy someone else's used underwears? You don't know the person who had used those underwears before. However, our people sadly have been reduced to this sordid state, where some now have to go to this extent. For me, it really broke my heart reading the story today. Why should our people, why should we subject our own citizens to this level of humiliation. That they, because of poverty, because of economic hardship, they will have to go and start buying second-hand underwears. It is just so sad. I think all these things are pointers to the fact that we need to sanitize our nation. The present political class have so much destroyed things and they need to be swept out. So for any Nigerian who really desire Nigeria to see light, now is the time for you to make that decision. Believe me, APC, PDP, they have been in power for the past 20 years, if I may say so. They've been in power for more than 20 years. And we have seen the damage that they have done. Desiani Alice was able to spend millions of dollars on designer lingerie. Millions of dollars on so-called gold and whatever designed underwears. Whereas today, our people, despite the resources that we have as a nation, are being reduced to going to buy used underwears. For me, the PDP, where so much noise is being made right now by Wike, they have no solution. Neither do APC, under the leadership, whose candidate is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They do not have solution to the problem Nigeria is in today. They are part of the problem Nigeria is in today. Because Wike, who is doing so much theatrics right now, because of the fact that he did not get the ticket. What's his name? Atiku outsmarted him. Both of them played the same game. However, it turned out that Atiku outsmarted him. Wike himself is part of the problem. If he had gotten the ticket, will he be making the noise he's making today? So, my people, 2023 is just around the corner. And the campaigns start, I think, even in a day or two from now. So, I'm happy that Nigerians, especially the young generation, they are more enlightened, their eyes are opened, they have seen the consequence of electing greedy, visionless, and unpatriotic politicians into office. They have seen the damage. Right now, we are almost in the 8th month of the ASU strike. And as usual, they seem to be bothered, the political class, but they are not bothered because they have all their children. Many of them have their children abroad. But my challenge to Nigerians is for us to do all it takes to ensure that the right candidate comes in. For me, I'm not hiding it. I am voting for Peter Obi. I am voting for Peter Obi because as at now, he's the candidate, or he's one of the most prominent candidates who has been able to clearly tell us where his source of money has come from, who we have been able to trace how he got his wealth over the years. And he's the only person who has occupied political office before who has not been taking any kind of support from his state. We know the antecedents of others. So my brothers and my sisters, for us to fix Nigeria, that has now become an international embarrassment to us Nigerians and to those who have seen our potential and where we should have been. It is time for us to correct the mess APC and PDP have brought to our country. And I pray that come 2023, you will act with wisdom. Go out, continue to spread the news, continue to mobilize others, tell them why these two political parties, candidates from these two political parties, they should not cast their vote for them, considering the damage they have done to our country. I pray and I hope that Nigerians, those who are still asleep, will awake and see this great damage that has been done to this nation, and to also realize that if the right choice is made, that there's a way out in 2023. May God bless you and see you in my next video. Amen.